So I saw that Toby Ord, who's the author of The Precipice, recently put out a tweet about a statement that was released on the Center for AI Safety website, signed by many scientists and notable figures, and it was about the risks of AI of causing human extinction. Now, I'll pop it up on screen so that you can read it for yourself, and I'll put a link in the description so that you can go to the actual page where it's listed and see the signatories and stuff like that. But the reason I wanted to do a video on it was because I think it's symptomatic of an orthodoxy which is present in intellectual spaces, but I think also just in society generally, and that's this orthodoxy that extinction is bad. Now, obviously no one wants a Terminator-style event to happen. Like, obviously that would be bad, and they've likened extinction to pandemics and nuclear war in the statement itself as well. So obviously there's some concern for how extinction would happen, and I share those same concerns. I don't want that Terminator style thing that people are maybe scared that runaway AI might cause. So I think we can all agree on that. The orthodoxy that I want to get at is this orthodoxy that extinction per se is bad. And I think we all know that this is an orthodoxy in society generally, and also amongst intellectuals, even amongst those who think about this. And I want to question that in this video. And the reason I want to question it is because I think, one, I think it's a valid viewpoint, so I think it should be in the mix. I think it deserves to be in the mix. But also I think that people who think extinction is bad should welcome this perspective into the discussion, because as John Stuart Mill said, and I'll pop the exact quote up on screen, he said that if we only know our point of view, then we don't really know much of that. The way that we gain a sharper understanding of our own points of view is from understanding the points of view of people who disagree with us, so that we can understand the criticisms and make our point even stronger, or take on board some of their criticisms. So I think including this point of view is only to the benefit of everyone, to the benefit of the people who believe it, so they are included, but also to the benefit of people who vehemently oppose it, so that they can understand why they vehemently oppose it. So let's actually get on to questioning the orthodoxy. So this orthodoxy of extinction being bad, putting aside how extinction happens, just talking about extinction per se, I think this orthodoxy lies upon two things. The first one I think is more simple. The other one I think is just, as I see it, a fallacy. So the first bit is, I think, sentimentality, really. I think that people look back on history, they see this sort of long arc of progress as we see it, and these new technologies coming out, especially at the point of history we're living at now with all this innovation going on. People see all this stuff as very exciting, and so do I. I see all these new things coming out, and it does intrigue me. But I think a lot of people see this arc of innovation and exploration and human progress. They get sentimentally attached to it to the point where they want it to continue without taking a skeptical view of it at all. And I also think people are so attached to their relationships, the things they do, their hobbies, etc., etc., their passions, that I think when they imagine that all not continuing after they're gone, I think they view that in a bad way because of sentimental reasons. I think they've become quite attached to this sort of narrative in their head, and they want it to continue. The second thing that I think this orthodoxy kind of hooks on is this weird idea that potential future generations will be like hard done by if they don't come into existence. It's like they are deprived by not being created, which is really weird. And Ricky Gervais made this observation in one of his stand-up routines. I'll put the clip up now.
People say, oh, it's selfish to not have children. How can it be selfish to not bring a life into the world that doesn't exist on any level? It's not as a long sort of cabinet full of potential ghost fetuses going, we want to be born, right?
So if no one existed, if humanity was extinct, there would be no one to suffer in general. There would be no one to be at risk of the things that we're scared about from AI and other things like climate change, pandemics, nuclear war. There would be no potential victims just waiting for this to happen, and guaranteed victims of just everyday bad things that happen. There would be no one there to lose out, and there would be no one there to care that they don't have the lives that aren't being created. Because some people might think, oh, but what about all the good things that could happen, you know? And going back to what Ricky Gervais said, there are not these unborn ghost fetuses just waiting to come into existence. The only reason that we enjoy these things that we say are the good things is because, boom, we've been created, and now we're going around enjoying them and wanting them. But before we were created, we never existed to want them or need them or desire or anything like this. It's just like how me and you watching this video, you know, in the year 1685, it's not like we were missing out. It's it's not like we cared that we didn't exist then. We simply didn't exist. That's what it is for potential future generations. They don't exist. They don't care that they don't exist now, that they won't exist in the future if we don't create them. So I don't understand why people construct this narrative in their head of like, oh, well, we should be creating these people, otherwise they'll be missing out. It's a good thing if we create them. It almost seems like some sort of quasi-religious thing to me. Now, obviously, this is still a fringe view, and it's not something that I think is going to be in the mainstream really much time soon. But I think this video, and hopefully conversations that can be inspired by this video, or just other conversations that would happen anyway, I think these can all contribute to adding to the discussion around extinction that are relevant to signatures and statements like this. And if the challenge is correct, which I think it is, then hopefully it will win out. I don't have much hope for that, but one thing that could also happen is that if the challenge is wrong, then the orthodoxy, by taking on board the challenge, has shown that actually it isn't an orthodoxy. It is just something that is widely subscribed because it makes sense and it's true. So I encourage more people to have conversations around this. I encourage more people to challenge the orthodoxy, especially when they see things like this statement being put out. But obviously taking into account the nuance of like, we don't want this Terminator style thing to happen. But let me know what your opinions are this on the statement and just on the orthodoxy generally and the challenge to the orthodoxy. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.
I'll be back.